International Criminal Court. All rise. Vous vous levez. Please be seated. Vous vous asseoir.
Thank you very much. Call out the case.
Good morning, Your Honors. La situation en République du Kenya.
Situation in the Republic of Prosecutor versus William Samuel Ruto and Joshua Arap Sang, ICC 0109-0111. We are in open session, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. I see there are no changes in appearances, and both accused persons.
ICC.
Now read out the oral decision we promised yesterday to render this morning in the matter of the defense request for disclosure of video recording of prosecution preparation session with witness 356. On the 16th of January 2014, during the course of their submissions on protective measures, the Ruto defense orally requested disclosure of the video recording of the preparation session conducted by the prosecution with witness 356. The Sang defense joined the request. The chamber gives the following ruling. The defense claimed, quote, the Sang defense joined the request. The chamber is how his evidence in chief be led in circumstances where not yet made any ruling active measures. It is to be recalled that in addition to the applicable rules established in the statute and the rules of procedure and evidence, the Chamber's decision on witness preparation, filing number 524, held that disclosure of the video recording of preparation may be sought, quote, in the event of allegations of coaching of a witness or of any improper interference with the evidence to be presented by the witness, unquote. The Chamber specified in that decision that a party making any such request, quote, shall satisfy the Chamber that there is a concrete and credible request, unquote. The Chamber notes that no specific legal basis was invoked by either defense team in support of their request of the 16th of January. In particular, no concrete and credible basis indicative of witness coaching or other improper interference has been raised, nor has it been established that the information sought is material to the preparation of the defense within the meaning of Rule 77 of the rules in particular. Moreover, the Chamber notes that it has been the general practice of this Chamber to orally rule on the preparation of the defense within the meaning of Rule 77 of the rules in particular. Moreover, witness 356 were any different from those of prior prosecution witnesses. The Chamber considers that it would be improper for the prosecution to explain to a witness that should the requested protective measures be granted, be organized in a particular manner with the objective of minimizing the of changes between public and actions. The Chamber does not consider that the applicable standard for disclosure of the video recording has been met in this instance. Consequently, the rejected. That is the Chamber's ruling.
Great.
Now, go into private session now to discuss a certain matter before we bring back the witness. Private session.
Nous sommes en audience publique.
We are in public session.
Proceed.
Now, Mr. Witness, can you tell the court who Mr. Isaac Mayo is?
Your Honor, he is the CDF chairman of Eldoret North.
Now, just for the transcript, I think that what the witness is saying is CDF chairman. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, can you tell the court briefly what CDF is, if you know it?
Your Honor, it is a funding for poor, knowledgeable youths who cannot afford education in a constituency, and also some other projects in a constituency.
No.
For poor, knowledgeable youths who cannot afford education in a constituency.
Chairman.
Your Honor, I'm not sure if he's elected or named.
Witness, could you tell us, Isaac Mayo, what party he was supporting at the time of the post-election violence?
I was supporting ODM, Your Honor.
Did he have any functions with the ODM?
I'm not sure. I don't know, Your Honor.
Now, you spoke about him being a CDF chairman. Does this implicate any rallies or attending rallies? And this person, Isaac Mayo, can you tell us of what ethnicity he is?
He's a Kalenjin, Your Honor.
Now, can you also tell the court who Mr. Moses Keter is?
He is a former councillor, Your Honor.
Can you tell us from what area, what location he's a former councillor?
He was a councillor of Soy location, Your Honor.
Line 21 is Keter, ER, for the transcript. And just so that we understand, where is Soy location, Mr. Witness?
It is in Eldoret North constituency, Your Honor.
Can you tell us what ethnicity Mr. Moses Keter is?
He is a Kalenjin, Your Honor.
Do you know what party he was supporting prior to? Can you tell us what ethnicity Mr. Moses Ketur is? Now, Mr. Witness, yesterday, I'd like you to just look at your PIS document. Yesterday, you were speaking to us about that you were at location 7 and that you had heard person 1 speaking. I'd like to just ask you some questions in regards to that. You heard person 1 speaking to the youth. Can you tell us at what distance you were from the person, approximately?
I was among the crowd, not more than 50 meters, Your Honor.
Now, what can you tell us about the surrounding noise?
There were no noise. All people were listening to him, Your Honor.
And just so that we can better understand, was person number 1 using any means of elevating his voice, or was he just speaking to the crowd?
There were no microphone, Your Honor. He was using his mouth.
Can you tell the court whether you were, to what degree you were able to listen to him?
I was able to listen to him, Your Honor, though I was very tired.
And do you remember, Mr. Witness, for how much time person number 1 spoke?
Your Honor, I made him speaking and I left while I don't remember if it was him speaking or person number 24.
Thank you.
Person number 24.
Minutes, just to introduce a new subject.
Section then.
Nous sommes en audience publique.
The court officer, we are in open session, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Mr. Witness, can you please tell us how many people were there at the ceremony?
Your Honor.
And can you tell us approximately how many? Was there more than 100 or less than 100?
Not under thousands, Your Honor.
And can you tell us what kind of people were there attending this ceremony?
They were Kalenjins, Your Honor.
I understand that there were Kalenjins, but could you tell us what kind of, what Kalenjins exactly? Were they normal people, other types of people? Which description of them?
They were common citizens, Your Honor.
Now, the majority were common citizens. What about the remaining people, the remaining Kalenjins that were there?
They were politicians also in that meeting, Your Honor.
Can you tell us, can you name a few of the politicians that were there present at the meeting?
Your Honor, I remember person number 1. And I remember also, can I say the names directly?
Yes, indeed, you can say the names.
We're in private session now. Yes.
We're in public.
Oh, sorry,
actually.
we're public session. Public session. But you think you can say the
It's
name?
okay, yes.
All right. My mistake. We're in public, but go ahead and say the name.
I remember also seeing Bokisho, Lina Chebiki Limo,
We're just going to, Mr. Witness, I'm just going to ask you, I understand that you're ready to give us all the names, but just for the transcript, it's best if we go one by one. The first person you...
I remember also seeing Pokisho, Lina Chebikilimo, Pokisho, P-H-O-G-I-S-I-O.
And who is this person?
He was the member of Parliament of Kapenguria.
I see the prosecution is asking you who is this person. If they are related to you, do not give that information in private, in public session. We can take that in private session. Or if they're friends of yours, especially, also that we can take in. But prosecutor, please proceed.
Now, Mr. Witness, you said Kapenguria. Can you please spell that for us?
K-A-P-E-N-G-U-R-I-A.
I can see an A missing. Okay, now that's fine. Thank you for the names of all the politicians that you would have seen, but you mentioned another one as well when you started. Can you give us the name of that other person you saw?
Lina Chebikilimo.
Now, Lina is L-I-N-A, and how do you spell her last name?
I-L-I-M-O.
And who was she?
He was a member of Parliament of Marakwet.
Marakwet, is that M-A-R-A-K-W-E-T?
Yes, Your Honor.
And can you tell us what ethnicity she was?
She is a Kalenjin, Your Honor.
And the person you mentioned initially, Fogisio, can you tell us what ethnicity he is?
He is a Kalenjin, Your Honor.
Ethnicity she was?
She is a Kalenjin, Your Honor.
Thank you for that, Mr. Witness. But returning to person number one, do you know what he was doing, if anything, at that ceremony?
I remember him speaking or addressing the gathering there, Your Honor.
Do you remember what he was telling the gathering?
He was not speaking directly to the gathering, but he was speaking directly to William Ruto, Your Honor. And he was telling him that if he is not going to join the people have left and they have left him.
Can you explain to us what that means? What you understood it to mean?
Your Honor, that meeting, Honorable Ruto, so as to discuss with the people the political way forward of whom he was going to support. Honorable Ruto was still not sure about supporting Honorable Raila Odinga at that time. But Mr. Raila Odinga. And Honorable Ruto was complaining, not even him alone. There was Honorable Franklin Pett, I remember. They were telling the people that it's not right for the Kalenjin community to support Raila Odinga. Then it was person number 1 and person number 24 who were telling Honorable Ruto that people have left. I remember even saying people have reached Kapsabet. They are on their way, they are at Kisumu, and they will leave you here.
Line number 15, page 39, is Franklin Bett, F-R-A-N-K-L-I-N-B-E-T-T. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You said, I remember even saying people have reached Kapsabet. They are on their way there at and we didn't get the last word you said. They are at now. What did you say exactly?
I said, Your Honor, I said they have reached.
You said, I remember even saying people have reached Kapsabet. They are on their way there at seeing the ceremony.
The master, Your Honor, the master of ceremony was Joshua Rapsang, Your Honor.
Just to be clear, is it the Joshua Arab Sang who was here in the courtroom today, who's co-accused in the case?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was he doing during the ceremony?
Your Honor, he was the master of ceremony. He was the one who was preparing if someone is to... And he was the master of ceremony, Your Honor.
Now, do you remember, Mr. Witness, if Mr. Joshua Arab Sang said anything during that ceremony?
I didn't catch everything that I could remember now during that ceremony, which he said.
Okay. Now we understand that you didn't catch everything, and that you could remember. But can you tell us what you do remember today of what you would have said during that ceremony?
I remember some other things which he said before the ceremony, or after the ceremony, but on the ceremony, the last thing I heard him saying, I'm not sure if it was on the meeting. I don't remember what he said there.
All right. Now, you said that you do remember him saying something, but you're not sure if it was during the ceremony. Can you tell us what it is?
Your Honor, he was telling the people to follow. He was telling the people to follow. No, I'm talking about the other meeting, which was held at Eldoret Sports Club. That's what came to my mind. It was not about the meeting, which was held about on William Ruto's home.
And just so we can clear up this.
No, I'm talking about the other meeting, which was held at Eldoret Sports Club. That's what came to my mind. It was not about the.
Right now, what would he have said at this other meeting, the Eldoret Sports Club?
He was telling the people, because Honorable Ruto had been elected as the only Kalenjin sport, and he was telling the people that William Ruto is the final person, and whatever he is going to say is what we are going to respect as Kalenjin community.
Now, what did you understand that to mean when Mr. Joshua Sang said that?
Your Honor, it was not even one time. Joshua Sang used the morning show of Kasavim Lenemit to, even sometimes someone could make a phone call and talk ill or talk opposite about William Ruto, and Joshua Sang was telling people that William Ruto is the only person we know, is the only king we know, and whatever he is going to say is that the Kalenjin community has said.
Prosecutor, one moment. Witness, before we continue, you testified earlier. Before we continue, I want to straighten out my understanding of an aspect of your testimony. Did you say that at the meeting at Mr. Ruto's home, to which you are now testifying, person number one told Mr. Ruto, I'm trying to understand, that the people had already joined ODM and supporting Raila Odinga, that he, Mr. Ruto, had to come along and join the people. Was that what you're saying? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. understand what you're saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I would like to say that Ruto was not certain, or he was not willing to work fully with Mr. Raila Odinga. This ad that the Kalenjins were already supporting the candidature of Mr. Raila Odinga. And Honorable Ruto himself, he tried in the Kalenjin community that Raila Odinga was not the best candidate.
Thank you for that, Mr. Witness. Now, just some clarifications. You were speaking to us about Mr. Joshua Sang. You said, Your Honor, it was not even one time Joshua Sang used the morning show of, and I think you said Lene Emet. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Also said, and can you tell us what radio station this would have been on?
SFM, Your Honor.
You also said you continue to even sometimes go make a phone call and talk opposite about William Ruto, and Joshua Sang was telling people that William Ruto is the only person we know. He's the only, what is the missing word there?
Your Honor, I can even make an example of one lawyer whom I remember. His name was Murkomen, and that time he was not supporting William Ruto or Raila Odinga. And at many times he could make a phone call, or he could be being questioned by KSFM, and they had Peter words with Joshua Sang, because Joshua Sang was directly supporting with William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, we'll deal with that subject afterwards, but you said he's the only, and what I heard was the only king we know. Is that correct, or did you mean thing? King or thing we know?
Words with Joshua Sang, because Joshua Sang was directly supporting with William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, we'll deal with that.
Thank you for that indication and break. Now, the blinds will come down and the witness is quoted from the courtroom.
Please be seated. We will s'asseoir.
Thank you very much. We are question. Prosecutor, please proceed.
Now, Mr. Witness, when we left off, I was asking you questions regarding Mr. Joshua Sang. I'd like to continue on the same subject. You told us in your testimony that Mr. Sang had a program called Lene Emet. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember, first of all, actually, did you listen, with what frequency did you listen to this program?
KSFM, Your Honor.
Do you remember, Mr. Witness, at what times, what days this program would play?
It was on weekdays, Your Honor. Early in the morning, Your Honor.
Do you remember the approximate times at which it would play?
From 7 to 8 a.m., Your Honor.
Now, what I'd like to know, Mr. Witness, is whether you were able to listen to this program, and if so, at what frequency? every day, once every 2 days? Can you help us in that regard?
Your Honor, it was not every day, but 3 times a week maybe.
Now, what, 3 times a week? How often you listened, or how often the program?
Your Honor, it was not every day, but 3 times a week maybe.
Now, or how often the program was broadcast?
I could say that if I had time in the morning, or if I could be late to go out, is when I listened to it. But sometimes I woke up early and I went without listening to the program, Your Honor.
Prosecutors trying to find out how often you listened to the...
Your Honor, if I may, I think the witness has just answered to it, and actually he answered that 3 times as to the amount of time he would listen to it. Is that correct, Mr. Witness? Did I understand you well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Witness. Now, could you tell the court this program was in?
It was aired in Kalenjin language, Your Honor.
And who was the host of this program normally?
Joshua Sang, Your Honor.
Can you tell the court what type of program this was? Lenemet.
Your Honor, before 2007, the program was a program of teaching in several ways, and mainly teaching the Kalenjin community, farming, different things. But in 2007, it was mainly a political program, Your Honor.
And when you say it was a political program, what kind of themes were discussed during the program?
In that program, Your Honor, each and every day, there were politicians invited to sell their policies through that program, Your Honor.
Now, we're speaking still about 2007. When you say that politicians were invited to sell their policies, politicians from what parties?
It was from all parties, Your Honor, but mainly whom I had several times were from ODM party, Your Honor.
Politicians were invited to sell their policies. Politicians from what parties?
It was from all parties. I said several times I had ODM party politicians, Your Honor.
Would you 2007, which party politicians from the ODM were on the program, Lenemet?
I can recall Honorable Raila Odinga, William Ruto, Franklin Pett, many of them, Your Honor.
Now, you stated that there were politicians from other parties. What was the show on Lenemet show with Joshua Sang?
If they were politicians, Joshua Sang would only let them sell their policies. I didn't see any difficulty. But when they have left, is when Joshua Sang could be against them, will tell people things against them, Your Honor.
So just to correct, line 20, who would happen when they would come on to the show on the program with Joshua Sang, is what it should be. Now, you stated that that Joshua Sang would let them sell their policies. Can you explain further what he would say after they had left?
Your Honor, I remember him saying that KasFM was like a cow, and we are only waiting, we are only welcoming them so that we can milk them. But after they have gone, the Kalenjin community, he was advising the Kalenjin community to support OTM.
Can you explain to us what you understood by this analogy? He was saying that we are only welcoming. One correction, Your Honor, page 47, line 22 is policies. And 48.3 is the same problem, sell their policies, not properties. What would happen, Mr. Witness, if someone would come onto the show in 2007 and support the PNU?
Your Honor, it was not that someone who came to the show. What I had, the callers or the people who were listening then call Kass FM radio, and it was Joshua who was receiving the calls, and he could react. Sometimes even he was using insultive languages against the callers, Your Honor.
Believe the missing
callers,
word,
yes.
The missing word, using insultive languages.
Using insultive languages, indeed, Your Honor, and line 21 is what I heard is that the callers, or the people, so callers is the word that is highlighted. It's highlighted. So line 21 is what I heard is that callers, what is now there is K-A-L-E-R-S, or the people listening, just so the transcript reads right. Now, Mr. Witness, you were speaking to us about the reaction of Mr. Joshua Sang. What would he say specifically about people who would support the PNU, callers who would call in supporting the PNU party? Now, Mr. Witness, you were speaking to us about the reaction of Mr. Joshua.
Caller that is PNU your mother. You are saying PNU is PNU your mother.
Tell us what you understood that to mean.
Using a Kalenjin language, Your Honor, and it was very much bitter for someone to touch or say something about your mother.
Is very much bitter for someone to touch or say something about your mother. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell us what other things Mr. Joshua Sang would tell callers who were supporting the PNU.
What I remember is when Joshua was campaigning or airing views, he was not referring, when he was talking against the Kikuyus, he was not referring them as Kikuyus, but he was using other languages, other words in Kalenjin, whom they could not be recognized as he was talking about the Kikuyus, Your Honor.
Now you say that Mr. Joshua Sang was using other words in the Kalenjin language. Can you tell us what words he was using to refer to when he was talking about the Kikuyus?
I remember one word, Kamurgelda, and another Kapchelit.
Can you please spell the first word for us, Kamurgelda?
K-A-M-U-R-B-A. K-A-M-U-R-U-L-D-A.
So just to make sure that we have the
K-A-M-U-R.
That's a word in what language exactly?
Kalenjin language, Your Honor.
And what does it mean in Kalenjin?
Means tinted, Your Honor.
What I understand of your response is it means tinted teeth. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing to say to someone?
Kalenjins who was tinted, Your Honor.
Do you know, Mr. Witness, why Mr. Joshua Sang would refer to the Kikuyus as tinted teeth?
Your Honor, the government at that time, it was so tough on process, and they had warned them that they would not use insultive languages when they are hearing, and they were also warned not to support any political party or not to promote ethnicity, Your Honor. To me, I understand that Joshua was using such words so that the government, or he might not be against the policies which the government had issued that time, Your Honor.
I'm just going to go through what you've just stated to us, Mr. Witness, so we can be clear on the matter. You've started out by saying that the government at the time, it was sought of broadcasting houses, and they had warned them that they would not use insultive languages. Do you remember which branch of the government this was? At the time, it was sought of broadcasting houses, and they had warned them that they would not use insultive language. Tell us, I understand that you use the word broadcasting houses. What do you mean by broadcasting houses?
And the radio stations, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Witness, Ministry of Information tell TV stations, radio stations at that time, 2007?
They were warned not to use insultive languages or promote ethnicity or support any political party directly on.
I know that I said 2007, Mr. Witness. Do you remember exactly what month Ministry of Information would have said this to radio stations, TV stations?
I don't remember the month, but it was earlier before the campaign started, Your Honor.
Page 52, line 1 is they were warned not to use insultive language for the transcript or promote ethnicity in any, we didn't catch that last word, Mr. Witness, promote ethnicity in any.
Just to, not to promote ethnicity, Your Honor.
You stated that it was, you don't remember the months, but it was earlier before the campaign started. When did the campaign start for the elections in Kenya of 2007?
I don't remember which month, Your Honor.
And when you say it was before the campaign started, was it days or weeks or months? Do you remember that?
I don't remember, Your Honor. I don't remember which month you're on.
And when you say it was before, now you say not to use insultive languages or promote ethnicity. What is by the promoting ethnicity? What was the ethnicity?
Ethnicity is to incite one tribe to another tribe, Your Honor.
When you're saying one tribe to another tribe, do you mean against another tribe, or do you mean something else?
Against another tribe, Your Honor.
And when you spoke about insultive languages, what did you take this to mean?
Just that to insult someone, Your Honor.
Now, you've mentioned in your testimony that Mr. Joshua Sang would use the term kamurulda, or tinted teeth, to refer to the Kikuyu. Did he use any other terms? Do you recall that?
Capture it, Your Honor.
Can you please spell that word for us?
A-A-P-C-H-E-L-I-T, Your Honor.
We didn't catch the first letters. Is it K or A?
K-A-P-C-H-E-L-T, Your Honor.
K-A-P-C-H-E-L-T, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. And
K-A-P-C-H-E-L-T, Your Honor.
K-A-P-C-H-E-L. And what does this word mean in Kalenjin?
Your Honor, I don't understand the meaning of that word.
Without understanding the meaning of it, Mr. Witness, can you tell us whether it was a good word or a bad word?
The only thing is that the word means something sharp. Now, I don't know, I don't understand why it was referred to Kikuyus as captured.
You said, Mr. Witness, the only thing is that the word means something, and we didn't get the last part of what you said. Can you repeat that?
It's just like a sharp razor blade.
So sharp like a razor blade. That's correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The only word chelit, lit, that means sharp.
Now, apart from these two terms, Mr. Witness, did you hear Mr. Joshua Sang refer to Kikuyus in any other way?
No, Your Honor. The only thing I remember is that I had Mr. Joshua Sang one time, a broadcaster who was at Citizen Radio, and that time it was about it was about the politics that there was another politician. I don't know if he was from the Kikuyu who had asked Honorable Ruto to clear his name first in corruption deals before he campaigns, and it was about the politics of 2007. And he was asking William Ruto to clear his names, and that's when I had Joshua Sang. The broadcaster was known as Wawirimburu. I had Joshua Sang saying that if they were thieves, they were Kikuyus. Why don't Wawirimburu advise asking William Ruto to clear his names? And that's when I had Joshua Sang The broadcaster was known as Wawirimburu.
So, Mr. Witness, just to come back on what you're saying, we didn't get the name of the person, the broadcaster. And name, spelling it out, please.
Wawirimburu. Wawiru is W-A-W-E-R-U. Then Buru is M-P-U-R-U.
And this broadcaster, do you recall what ethnicity he was?
He is a Kikuyu, Your Honor.
Now, you say that this broadcaster had asked him first in corruption deals. Can you explain that to the court a little bit more?
Your Honor, the broadcaster had the same like for the live, and it was aired early in the morning. But his was different because there was no calling, but he was only on politicians, and today he might speak of another politician, tomorrow he might speak of another politician, trying to show Kenyans or to tell Kenyans that this politician is not good, he has not done this. And on that day, he was talking about Honorable Ruto and corruption deals, and he was asking Honorable Ruto to clear his name first before he campaigns, or he goes to the campaign asking the electorate that he wants votes.
So line 23 is the electorate that he wants votes, and line 14 is for like en lene emet for Joshua Sang. Is that correct? So line 23 is the electorate that he wants votes, and line and the name of the program is Lene Emet, L-E-N. Can you spell it out for us, please?
I don't remember the name of the program.
Okay, no, that's fine, I understand. I don't want to confuse you. The name of the, just for the transcription, the name of the program of Joshua Sang is Lene Emet, L-E-N-E, Emet, E-M-E-T. That's for the transcription. Can you tell us, Mr. Witness, how many constituencies Eldoret is divided in?
At that time, Your Honor, it was only 3 constituencies.
Was there ever any debate or discussion as to the adding more constituencies to Eldoret?
Yes, Your Honor, there was a time whereby Eldoret could have, they had brought a discussion that all major towns should be subdivided into different constituencies, Your Honor.
Prosecutor, what is the forensic bearing of that line of question?
Your Honor, I have a follow-up question which will make it more obvious. Mr. Witness, was this topic, the question of Eldoret and the division into constituencies, ever evoked or raised on the radio stations or in the media?
I remember, Your Honor, during that time.
Mr. Witness, was this topic, the question of Eldoret and the division into constituencies, ever
not being divided, but being given of its own, Your Honor?
Just a correction for the transcript, page 57, line 3, it's once again, I've spelled it out before for the transcript. Now, Mr. Witness, can you elaborate? Joshua Sang Joshua Sang was asking the Kalenjin community to reject Eldoret Town being divided. Can you explain what the problem was?
What Joshua Sang was saying is that the Kikuyus are mainly majority in Eldoret Town, and if they will divide Eldoret, if the Eldoret Town will be given a constituency of its own, that means there will be an MB from the Kikuyu, and everything will be owned by the Kikuyus in Eldoret Town, Your Honor.
And do you remember how Mr. Joshua Sang would refer to the Kikuyus when he was speaking about this problem of Eldoret Town?
It is in my mind, but I can't recall now. I wanted to use that. I will remember and I will come to it later, but it is in my mind, Your Honor.
I understand that you can't remember right now. Do you remember what the term was dealing with or what it referred to? Anything come to mind?
Your Honor, I know I will remember it and I will come with it.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. When you do come to it or you do have a recollection of it, just please indicate it and we'll come back to that. Just on this same topic of the Eldoret Town and it being divided, do you remember what else Mr. Joshua Sang was saying in that regard? Or you do have a recollection of it, just please indicate it and we'll come back to that. Just on this same topic,
if they will give an Eldoret Town a constituency of its own, it will be taken over by the Kikuyus and they will manage Eldoret. And that's what Joshua Sang emphasized several times, Your Honor.
and to your understanding, what was problematic about Kikuyus or a person of Kikuyu ethnicity managing? Can you give us more information in that regard?
I understand your question, Your Honor.
You said that the Kalenjins believe that Eldoret Town is their own town. If they will give Eldoret Town a constituency of its own, it will be taken over by the Kikuyus and they will manage Eldoret Town. That's what you told us. My question is, what was so problematic about the person of Kikuyu ethnicity managing the town? Why was that a problem? Was saying.
What I can say is that, not for Mr. Joshua Sang, but what I knew is in Kenya, when you are managing or you have any political or any position in government, first what someone could do is to employ his own people, and that's what Joshua Sang was crying about that time.
You said that the people of Kalenjin ethnicity believe that Eldoret Town was their own town. Can you explain that to us?
Not even Eldoret Town alone, Your Honor.
You said that the people of Kalenjin ethnicity believe that Eldoret Town was...
There are many, or the majority there, Your Honor.
And what happens, Mr. Witness, when people of other ethnicities Ref Valley try and assert themselves or try and manage Kalenjin towns. Anything about that?
Your Honor, in my view, even Eldoret town or other towns in Rift Valley are not managed by only Kalenjins. And I don't know about now, but they were managed by both communities. But during 2007, or during that time of which it was brought that it should be, it can be given a town of its own, is when I had complaints and I had Joshua Sang advising the people not to accept. But before it was managed by both communities. Because I even know some Kikuyu councillors who are there in Eldoret Town. Your Honor.
And as for 30 seconds, Your Honor. And as for 30 seconds. Now, Mr. Witness, I've been asking you questions regarding Eldoret Town. Can you tell us when this whole debate would have occurred, in what month of 2007?
Prosecutor, all right. We've had some testimony on that. The idea now is not to cut you off, but to remind you that we are in a criminal trial with specific charges, the object of which is whether or not the accused are guilty or not guilty on the charges, not in a commission of inquiry as such, on the social relationships, so cultural relationships in the Rift Valley. We need to keep that in mind, and we spend some time on that. Keep that in mind, please.
Certainly, Your Honor. Do you remember, Mr. Witness, when this would have occurred, this discussion about Eldoret constituency? What month?
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, can you tell us, at that time in 2007, violence, Eldoret town, can you tell us what ethnic groups resided in Eldoret town?
All communities resided in Eldoret Town, Your Honor.
And if we speak about the center of Eldoret?
That is the center of Eldoret I'm talking about, Your Honor. Eldoret Town, Your Honor.
And if we speak about the center of Eldoret? During that time period, 2007.
I don't remember for now, Your Honor.
Prosecutor, are you in a position to refresh the witness's memory of the terminology used?
Yes, indeed, Your Honor. And this is, I was just seeing if the witness is going to recall on his own, but obviously not. So I can ask the witness just another question, see if he does remember. But if not, I will be asking the court's permission to refresh the witness's memory on this specific point. Now, Mr. Witness, just a couple of minutes ago, I asked you whether you remember this other term that Mr. Joshua Sang would use to refer to people of Kikuyu ethnicity. You said that you'd be thinking about it and you would come back to us. Do you remember now, or you're still not remembering?
It is still far away from my mind, Your Honor.
I understand that when you met the prosecution, is this information that you would have given the prosecution?
I gave the information.
And today, from what I understand, at this point in time, you don't remember.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'd like permission to refresh the witness's memory on this specific point. I have a transcript number and a paragraph, lines, specific lines, 4 lines, that the witness can read to himself. They can be put on his screen, or I can give him a paper copy. He can read through them, and I'll ask him other questions afterwards, see if that refreshes his memory.
Any objections?
Your Honour, there is an objection. Of course, it's an issue that mainly relates to my learned friend, Mr. Katwa-Keegan. But, Your Honour, this is a witness that the prosecution have spent quite some time with in proofing over several days. He's a witness whose very first question to the prosecution, almost, way back in June, is whether or not he could, Mr. Katwa-Keegan. But, Your Honour, this is a witness that the prosecution have spent quite some time with in proofing. We say, given the circumstance of this case where the witness has looked over his evidence for days, has been interviewed by the prosecution for hours, and indeed days, it's not been made out that the witness should simply be given under the caveat of memory refreshment. We've used that phrase before, and very often what happens in systems is a witness comes to court fresh, and if in the course of testimony a witness does not remember, with the court's leave, a witness may be shown a memory refreshing document. A different situation. The witness has already had his memory refreshed to an amazing degree, and because of that we have grave reservations regarding the not just the forensic value, but the actual utility of this exercise. And it has within it the capacity to erode, we say, in some measure at least, the ability of the Chamber to draw an assessment as to this witness's own account. Your Honour, it's important in assessing that the witness was interviewed in 2012, and he's saying that he remembered an incident that goes back some years. And yet, despite all this memory refreshing, it said suddenly in the witness box, he has forgotten. So, Your Honours, we would say that there's a danger in this. Your Honour, I will address some other issues later when it's my turn to cross-examine, but on a few occasions, the witness has said, I'll come back to that later. Your Honours, that may have some probative value later on, but Your Honours, we say there's no need that's been shown.
Ms. King-Katwa.
Mr. President, we equally object with respect to this witness that in some of the instances in the closed session, he has shown amazing capacity to recall dates, events, and names. And the contention now that he cannot recall and that he needs more time to recall that in some of the instances in the closed session, he has shown amazing capacity to recall him being given an opportunity through the prosecution. We object, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Objection is over. Prosecution proceed.
I'd like to solicit the help of the court officer, and I'd like to give a copy of transcript Ken OTP 00810801 to the witness.
prosecutor, you said you were going to direct the witness specifically.
I'm going to direct them to 4 specific lines that deal with the matter that was that I've been questioning on.
So we don't have him reading around it.
That's correct. And just to inform defense counsel, it's lines 636 to 639 at page 0820 of that transcript.
What type is it? Is it on a bundle? It's not in the
Unfortunately not. These are the transcripts of the interview with the witness. I'm not sure, but maybe court officer can display them on the screen. It's transcript 00810828. Actually, I'm sorry. This is backwards. It's 00810802. And it's at 0820. Transcript 00810828. Actually, I'm sorry. This is backwards. It's 00810801 is the number of the transcript. The page is 0820. Now, Mr. Witness, if you look at the page that's before you, it's 20 at the bottom. Do you see that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'd like for you to read, there are line numbers on the left-hand side. I'd like you to read lines 636 to 6.
Monsieur Garcia, je vois que le document est confidentiel.
You can see that the document is confidential and we are in open session, Mr. Garcia.
If the perhaps we should just go into private session then, can it be shown to the court just confidentially then? Maybe that'll resolve the problem. Thank you for that. Mr. Witness, just to be sure, I just want you to read 4 lines. Do not read anything else outside of those 4 lines. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, Mr. Witness, 36 to 639 to yourself. Do you see them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Take the time to read them to yourself, then I'll ask you some questions. Now, Mr. Witness, I take it you've had the chance to read those 4 lines that I mentioned?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, has this exercise refreshed your mind in any way in regards to the questions that I've asked you before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you please tell the court how it's, and before we do that, perhaps we can, the court officer can take the copy that is in front of the witness away from him. That I've asked you before.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you please tell the court how it's, and before we interrupted you, Mr. Witness, can you tell the court how it has refreshed your memory?
I was saying that there was something else which Mr. Joshua Sang used to refer the Kikuyus. It was missing. That I was thinking about it, but I have seen it now, Your Honor.
And what is it that you have seen now that you didn't remember before?
I want to use the word Kalenjin, in the word in Kalenjin first. Joshua Sang also referred to Kikuyus as Chemulbai.
Can you spell that word for us, please? Take your time so that we can understand it.
C-H-E-M-U-B-A-I.
Is that a C-H-E-M-U-B or is it P?
L-B-I.
C-H-E-M-U-L-B-I. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I understand that this word is in Kalenjin. Can you tell the court what this word means?
Your Honor, it means, let me take an example of maize plants, and there are plants that are like maize and they are not maize. It means something like something which is not that thing.
Can you tell us in English what would be the most approximate or the translation for that word that you just gave us?
Weeds, Your Honor.
It's weeds, W-E-E-D-S. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
In English, what would be the most approximate or the translation for that word that you just gave us?
Weeds, Your Honor.
And paper in front of it. He needs to spell something. Witness, that's to make it easier for you to spell. I noticed often the prosecutor has asked you to spell some terms. Having a pen and paper in front of you may make it easier for you to spell. Asks you for spelling.
Now, Mr. Witness, what was Mr. Joshua Sang saying about these weeds? Did he say anything in particular about them?
Your Honor, it was about the division of some towns, Eldoret Town, some constituencies, and he was talking especially about Eldoret Town, Your Honor.
And what was he saying in regards to the term weeds and Eldoret Town?
He was telling the Kalenjin community or the electorate of Eldoret North constituency that the weeds are too many in Eldoret Town, and if a constituency of its own will be made in Eldoret town, the weeds will take over all Eldoret town. A constituency of its own will be made in Eldoret town, the weeds will take over all Eldoret town. Your Honor, not Eldoret constituency, but Your Honor.
So it should read, he was telling the Kalenjin community or the electorate in Gishu district. Is that correct, rather than Eldoret constituency?
Your Honor.
Sang say anything about what had to be done about the weeds?
Was telling the residents of Washington issue is that they should not have to accept that Eldoret be given a constituency of its own. Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'd like to go into private session for just 1 minute to introduce the next subject.
Something to clarify. Your Honor, it's about the meeting which happened at Honorable William Ruto's home. Your Honor,
You can clarify, but remember we're in public session, so you can proceed because that testimony was heard in public session as well. But as long as you remember not to identify yourself in your clarification, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. I wanted to clarify that after I went to break, I thought, and it came clear in my mind that the meeting was not in December 2007, but I don't remember the exact month. What made me remember is about the other meeting which was held at Eldoret Sports Club, and it came clear in my mind that the meeting was not in December 2007, but I don't remember the exact.
Now, Mr. Witness, just so we can understand better, if you're able to help us, you're saying it's not in December 2007. Be able to tell us what month it was in, if not December?
Your Honor.
Okay. I think I went about this the wrong way, possibly.
Your Honor, I've got no problem if the transcript is given to refresh his memory, the one that the prosecution took from him over several days. That can be given to him to refresh his memory.
Your Honor, I'd like to just ask the questions to the witness and see what he recalls right now at this particular moment. Mr. Witness, you've stated that you're not sure about the date of this meeting at Mr. William Ruto's house. Is it the month that you're not sure of? You gave December, or is it just the day?
December, Your Honor.
Now, do you remember, Mr. Witness, if it was after December or before the month of December?
Before the month of December, Your Honor.
Now, do you remember if it was days, weeks, or months before December?
I don't remember, but I don't remember, Your Honor.
Just one last question on this. Do you know if it was after September 2007 or before September 2007?
Your Honor, the other meeting, which we have not talked about, it was before that meeting, and that meeting, when I think it was either September or November, and it was before that.
The other meeting you say we've not talked about, would it be the meeting at the sports club?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So we're going to be broaching that subject, Your Honor. So maybe at that point we can see if we can clear up when exactly this meeting that
Not talked about, would it be the meeting at the sports club?
Yes, Your Honor.
all right. So
Briefly into private session then.
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, we're in public session.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, please.
now, Mr. Witness, I'd like to ask you some questions regarding Mr. Jackson Kibor. Would you be able to tell the court what kind of what line of work Mr. Jackson Kibor was in 2007, prior to the post-election violence?
He was a farmer, and he had also a transportation company on.
Now, you say he was a farmer. Can you give us more details as to how many farms he had?
Around 4 or 5 farms, Your Honor.
You also say that he had a transportation company. What kind of, do you know if he owned any lorries or any trucks?
He was owning trailer lorries, Your Honor.
Okay, just to be clear, you said he was owning trailer lorries. That's correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember approximately, would you know approximately how many trailer lorries he was the owner of?
I am not sure about the numbers, Your Honor.
Can you tell us how many houses Mr. Jackson Kibor had at the time?
Four houses, Your Honor. 5 houses, Your Honor.
Can you tell us where these houses were?
One is in Cabernet.
Just to spell.
4 houses, Your Honor. 5 houses, Your Honor.
Abenes. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Kitale.
So that's Kitale.
Ipcabos.
Can you please spell that for us?
Kipkapus.
Do you know the other places where he had houses?
Eldoret Town.
Is that all?
That's all that I know. Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, what can you tell us about Mr. Jackson Kibor's political implication? I'd like to start out in 1997, 2002. Was he a member of any political party at that time?
He was a member of KANU, Your Honor. And he also joined other political parties, I don't know, but for a short time.
Your Honor, I don't want to delay matters, but I wonder with the court's help if somebody from the computer section could could help me. My transcend seems to have frozen.
Can somebody assist the Vice Counsel, please?
I needn't delay matters. I can follow.
You can follow from your colleague's screen.
Now, can you just please remind us what was his position within the KANU political party between 1997 and 2002? Now, can you just please remind us what was his position within was supporting in 1997? What politician?
In 1997, I don't.
Now, you mentioned that in 2002, you don't recall Mr. Jackson Kibor being part of KANU. What, if any, political party he was supporting then?
He was supporting in 1992. Is it 92 or 90?
2002.
Mr. Kibor was supporting. It was supporting a party of which MP of Cherangani was in. I don't remember the name of the party.
You said the former MP of Cherangani. Can you spell that for us, please?
P-H-E-R-G-A-N-Y-I.
So just to confirm with you, it's C-H-E-R-N-G-A-N-Y-I. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to bring you to the year of 2007, prior to the post-election violence. Can you tell the court what political party Mr. Jackson Kibor was supporting at that time?
He was supporting ODM, Your Honor.
Was he supporting any politician in particular in the ODM at that time in 2007?
As I said before, Your Honor, Mr. Kibor and some other Kalenjin leaders were the first ones.
Was he supporting any politician in particular in the ODM at that time in 2007?
Later on, when Mr. Ruto joined them, he was supporting Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, I'm still asking questions in reference to 2007. Do you know if Mr. Jackson Kibor would attend rallies, political rallies, during that year?
Your Honor, myself, I didn't attend several rallies, but Mr. Jackson Kibor could attend because I could hear in the several rallies, Your Honor.
And can you tell us briefly what were these rallies, or who were the politicians who were at these rallies that Mr. Jackson Kibor attended?
Politicians, Your Honor, mainly from ODM.
And more specifically, in the Rift Valley, Mr. Witness, what politician did Mr. Jackson Kibor support?
I can say only because I know about Eldoret North constituency. He was supporting William Ruto for the MP, and he was supporting Raila Odinga for presidency.
Now, in regards to Mr. William Ruto, you said that he was supporting him. Can you give us some examples of how he was supporting Mr. William Ruto in the Eldoret North constituency?
Your Honor, he was campaigning for him. I remember even there was a time he went to Kas FM that was all over, and he was supporting him. And even in the village, you could meet him in Siwa, at Siwa or anywhere talking to people about it.
Now, if you can explain to us further, when you say that he was campaigning for Mr. William Ruto, can you give us some examples of what that means? What was he doing? What type of campaigning?
He was urging people to elect William Ruto as the MP.
And where would he do this campaigning?
In several places.
What that means? What was he doing? What type of campaigning?
He was urging people to elect William Ruto as the MP.
Mentioned that Mr. Jackson Kibor even went on KSF. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. There was a time he was speaking at.
Do you remember he went on KSFM?
I remember it was an evening program, Your Honor.
Do you recall what he would have been saying at KSFM?
I don't remember the exact words, but it was only asking the Kalenjin community to vote as a bloc and vote for ODM and vote for William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, you also... Now, Mr. Witness, you've also said that Mr. Jackson Kibor was even in Ziwa campaigning. That.
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, can you tell us since when Mr. Jackson Kibor had supported Mr. William Ruto?
Your Honor, according to me, Mr. Kibor at first was not with Mr. Ruto. And the first support that Mr. Ruto got from Mr. Kibor, to my memory, is the election of 2007. But later before, he was not with William Ruto, Your Honor.
You say that Mr. Kibor at first was not with Mr. Ruto. Can you explain to that? Can you explain that a little bit more to us? When was this that he wasn't with Mr. Ruto?
Later, before 2007.
Who was he with before being with? That Mr. Kibor at first was not with Mr. Ruto. Can you explain to that? Can you explain that a little bit more to us? When was this that he wasn't with Mr. Ruto?
But he started supporting Mr. William Ruto in 2002 general election.
All right, just for the transcript, you say that in 1997 election, Mr. Ruben Chesire. Is that Ruben, R-U-B-E, Chesire, C-H-E-S-I-R-E? Is that the correct spelling?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Ruben Chesire was a member of what political party at the time in 1997?
They were all members of KANU, Your Honor. But Mr. Ruto won on nominations, on KANU nominations.
And just to be clear, you say that he started the supporting Mr. William Ruto in 2002 general election. Is that accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell the court what, if any, was the type of relation that Mr. Kibor had with Mr. in 2007?
Your Honor, not Mr. Kibor alone, but most of prominent or rich Kalenjin leaders were all in support of Mr. William Ruto. What I want to say is that it all started with a meeting which was held at Eldoret Sports Club, because on that time, Mr. Ruto was pronounced the only speaker and the king of the Kalenjin community. Meeting which was held at Eldoret Sports Club, because On that time, Mr. Ruto was pronounced.
Mr. Witness, how Mr. Jackson Kibor was considered in the Kalenjin community in 2007.
Your Honor, even before 2007, Mr. Kibor was a very strong politician whom the Kalenjin community and do what he advises them to do. He was a very strong politician, and yet Kalenjins on his hands, Your Honor.
Did he have any specific position within the Kalenjin community?
He had no specific position before the meeting, which was held at Eldoret Sports Club. But later, if he was given a position whereby he was a member of the Kalenjin Council of Elders, Your Honor.
Just so that we understand you well, Mr. Witness, it's after the meeting at the Eldoret Sports Club that Mr. Kibor would have been given a position within the Kalenjin Council of Elders. Did I understand you well?
I said he had no position till that time of that meeting, Your Honor.
Thank you for that, Mr. Witness. When you say, Mr. Witness, in regards to Mr. Kibor, that he had the majority of Kalenjins on his hands, can you explain that to the court, please?
Your Honor, he was someone that he could speak to the people. And
when you say, Mr. Witness, in regards to Mr. Kibor, that he had the majority of Kalenjins on his hands,
Mr. Kibor and others were the first people to join HODM. And it was Mr. Kibor who was selling policies of Mr. Raila Odinga, and the Kalenjin community followed his policies or accepted his policies. Your Honor.
and thank you for that, Mr. Witness. We've understood that. To know is, can you give any examples to the court of how Kibor had the majority of Kalenjins on his hands? Can you do you remember any examples that would illustrate that to the court?
Your Honor, I can remember that again during the 2007 post-election violence, whereby Mr. Kibor, I met him at Siwa talking to the people, and the people were listening at him. You saw that he's strong, and the people were adoring him, Your Honor.
Do you have any examples, Mr. Witness, of before then, before the post-election violence?
I don't have, Your Honor.
And just to be clear on the matter, when you're saying the majority of the Kalenjins, we're speaking about the Kalenjin people of what region?
Mr. Kibor was mainly within Western Gishu district, but also in other parts of Rift Valley.
Can you tell us what other parts of the Rift Valley?
I'm saying generally where Kalenjins were, his name was there, but mainly his politics was about Western Gishu district, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, in terms of wealth, what can you tell us about Mr. Jack?
Is among the richest Kalenjin leaders, Your Honor.
Was this the case in 2007?
But he was among the richest. In 2007, he was among the richest Kalenjin leaders, Your Honor.
Can you give us the names, Mr. Witness, of other Kalenjin leaders that were also wealthy, or very wealthy at that time in 2007?
I can remember the late I can't remember the names very well. The late poet Nicholas Biwott.
The first name you gave, can you spell that to us, please?
Poet, P-O-I-T.
And the second name you gave us?
Nicholas Biwott.
Can you spell us that first name and last?
N-I-C-H-O-L-A-S.
And the last name?
B-I-W-O-T.
And who was this person?
He was a former member of parliament for KU.
We understood for KU. Can you please spell that?
K-E-I-Y-O.
Is this a person of Kalenjin ethnicity?
Yes, Your Honor.
We understood for KU. Can you please spell that?
K-E.
Theme to deal with this witness, and which will take most probably last session, and we will finish at that.
Thank you. Witness, some questions for you. 1997, Mr. Kibo was the chairman of KANU. Was that your testimony?
Your Honor, I said from 1997 to some other years, he was the chairman of KANU, but after 1997, I remember he was not the chairman of KANU again.
You mean before 1997, he was not the chairman of KANU?
After 1997.
All right, what period was he chairman of KANU?
I don't remember he started when, but I remember in 1997, he was still the chairman of KANU.
Oh, he was the chairman of 97. Let's begin with that. In 1997.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Was he the chairman of KANU before 1997?
He was, Your Honor.
Right. But then you were saying that he was no longer chairman of KANU after 1997.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do you remember when he came into that position as chairman of KANU, which he was until 1997?
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Are you in a position to estimate approximately, even if you do not remember the precise date or year that he commenced serving as chairman?
According to him, because I was talking to him, he had been a chairman of KANU for several years now. I can't remember from when to when, Your Honor.
How old would he be? Do you know?
70 years and above, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will then take our
Yes, indeed, Your Honor.
luncheon break, and you may.
20 years and above, Your Honor.
Thank you. And let the witness out.
All rise. We will lever. Please be seated. We will as well.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garcia. Please continue.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, earlier today in your testimony, and that's at page 79 of the real-time transcript, in response to one of my questions, you stated to the court, Your Honor, not Mr. Kabor alone, but most of prominent or rich Kalenjin leader were all in support of Mr. William Ruto. And what I want to say is that it all started with the meeting which was held at Eldoret Sports Club, because you stated to the court, Your Honor, not Mr. Kabor alone, but most of prominent or rich Kalenjin leader were all the Kalenjin community. So my questions are in reference to that excerpt of what you stated to the. Now, can you tell us, first of all, when this meeting was held at the Eldoret Sports Club? Do you remember that?
It was in November 2009, Your Honor. If not October, November 2009, Your Honor.
(2009)
2007, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I just want to make sure. Are you sure that it's 2007 now?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, can you tell us exactly who was at this meeting?
ODM and Kalenjin leaders, Your Honor.
Can you tell us precisely where it was held?
At Eldoret Sports Club, Your Honor.
Can you explain to us just briefly what the Eldoret Sports Club is? Where is that?
It is around Eldoret Showground, Your Honor. Along Eldoret Kapsabet Road, Your Honor.
And the sports club, it's a facility that is used for what normally?
What I've seen, many political rallies have been held there, but I myself have not gone there when there is no political rally. I have not established what exactly is going on inside there, Your Honor. What I've seen, many political rallies have been held there, but
I understand you watched it on TV. Do you remember on which channel you would have watched this?
TV, Your Honor.
Now, just so we understand that, when you were watching this on TV, was it live or is this something that you watched on a replay?
It was on the news, Your Honor.
It was on another day.
It was that evening, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, just so we can get an idea, when you say there were many people there, was it in the hundreds, the thousands? Can you give us an estimate or?
Thousands of people, Your Honor.
Now, can you tell us who was present amongst the Kalenjin leaders at this meeting at Eldoret's showground?
Your Honor, first of all, the meeting was called, announced in KAS FM for several days, and the main people who were there are Kalenjin leaders whom were later elected as representative of the Kalenjin community, or the council elders of a Kalenjin community. And I recall the presence of Mr. Chonsei, I recall Sumbeyua.
1 second, Mr. Witness. We just need to go through those. And now, the first one you said, and I recall the presence of Mr. Joinsei. Can you please spell that out for us?
John, says S-E-I.
And who was this person?
He was a former...
Joinsei. Can you please spell that out for us?
John, says S-E...
Of what ethnicity? Line 19 is he was a former Army officer, for the record, for the transcript.
Is the first name John?
The first name is John, yes.
I say John, not Jonah.
Mr. Witness, it's John, J-O-H-N, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, who else was there amongst the Kalenjin leaders, Mr. Witness?
Retired Major Sumbeyua, Your Honor.
Now, simply for the record and for the transcript, it's Major Sumbewo, and that's number 17 on the PIS document, S-U-M-B-E-I-Y-W-O. That's correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
And just for the record, you said he was a retired major, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And can you tell us what is the ethnicity of this person?
A Kalenjin, Your Honor.
Can you tell us what other Kalenjin leaders were present at this meeting at Eldoret Sports Club?
Also retired Major General Agustin Jeruyot, Your Honor.
Now, for the record, Mr. Witness, you've mentioned that it was a retired Major General Agustin Chariot, and that's number 15 on the PIS.
General Agustin Jeruyot, Your Honor.
Provisional transcript.
Mr. President, sorry.
Yes, Mr. Khan.
Your Honor, I wonder if the broadcast on television in Kenya, why is it in private session? Are we in private or are we?
We're in public.
We're in public. I'm grateful.
My point, you mentioned number 15 on the PIS.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would he then be major or major general?
My understanding of the witness's testimony today is that he's Major General. Mr. Witness, is that correct? Is that accurate?
Retired Major General Agustin Tiruyat.
Right. So the correction needs to be reflected in the PIS then. PIS said major, says major. We just want to clarify that.
I'm grateful, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Witness, were there any other Kalenjin leaders who were present at this meeting at Eldoret Sports Club?
Honorable William Ruto was present also, Your Honor.
Do you recall if there were any other Kalenjin leaders who were present?
I recall also Mr. Jackson Gibor was present.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'd like to bring you back to what you stated initially. You said that Mr. Ruto was pronounced the only speaker and the king of the Kalenjin community. Now, can you explain to us a little bit more on that point? When you say Mr. Ruto was pronounced the only speaker, what did you understand that to? You said that Mr. Ruto was pronounced the only speaker and the king of the Kalenjin community.
What I got even that day or days later is that has been named the spokesman of the Kalenjin community, and from the Kalenjin community should be William Ruto speaking out of it, or any other person can speak of on behalf of the Kalenjin community, on behalf of William Ruto. And I also remember Joshua saying that if anyone speaks out without the consent of Honorable William Ruto, we will not count as the Kalenjin community. But whatever William Ruto is going to say, it's as if the Kalenjin community has said, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'd like to just go over that with you so that it can, just to clarify some points. You said, I also remember Joshua saying that if anyone speaks out without the consent of Honorable William Ruto, and did you say it will not count as if the Kalenjin community? Is that what you stated?
I said it will not be counted as he was the person who spoke without the consent of Ruto was representing the Kalenjin community.
Thank you. And when you're speaking about the Kalenjin community, can you just be a little more precise? We're speaking about the Kalenjins where, in what area?
They were speaking about the Kalenjins all over Kenya, Your Honor.
Now, you said that, you clarified for us that Mr. Ruto was the spokesman of the Kalenjin community. Can you explain to us and elaborate, what does that mean? What does it imply when someone is a spokesman of the Kalenjin community? Explain to us in detail and take your time.
Your Honor, I want to say first that it came only during 2007 because I remember some days.
Imply when someone is a spokesman of the Kalenjin community? Explain to us in detail and take your time.
Former MPs like the late Sainan Jesire from Eldoret North. At no time I had them being named spokesmen of a certain community like Kalenjin. But it was different because Honorable Ruto, not the MB for Eldoret North constituency, but he was given as a spokesman of the entire Kalenjin community, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, just to clarify, from MPs like the late, and we don't have the name, can you give us the full name by spelling it, please?
I say the late William Saina. L-I-A-M. Saina is S-A-I-N-A, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, if you could just explain to us, to the court, what does it mean, or what did it mean when Mr. William Ruto was named spokesman of the Kalenjin community? In practical terms, what does that mean?
Your Honor, it was clear to everyone that William Ruto is the only last person who can say anything concerning the Kalenjin community. But other people were barred from doing anything or saying anything on behalf of the community without the consent of Mr. William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, line 1392 is other people were barred from doing anything or saying anything on behalf of the community. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, line 1392 is other people were barred from doing anything.
Your Honor, in Kalenjin culture, there is a cloth. Kings were clothed with such in respect of their kingship. And on that day, Honorable Ruto was clothed with that cloth, the king of the Kalenjin community. And according to me, Your Honor, or other people, kingship in Kalenjin community was only found on people known as Orgoik, and it was not shared among members of parliament or politicians. It was only for one family. It was only when the child takes over, or the first son takes over. That day, William Ruto was crowned that race, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you've mentioned that the kingship in Kalenjin community was only as, and we don't have the word. Can you spell out the word for us, please?
Orkoik, O-R-K-O-I-K, Your Honor.
So we should understand that the kinship in Kalenjin community was only for people known. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell us what Orkoik means?
Your Honor, they were people with gifted mind from God. People who can even stop rain or do other things that all men cannot do, all human beings cannot do, Your Honor. For example, Koitalel Somoy was the last king of the Kalenjin community.
Now, can you please just say that name of the last person who was the last king of the Kalenjin community? What is the full name of that person?
Koitalel Somoy was the last king of the Kalenjin community.
Now, can you please...
Koitalel Somoy, K-O-I-T-A-L-E-L.
Now, Mr. Witness, can you help us understand what are the functions of a king of the Kalenjin
I read that in history, Your Honor. The functions of a Kalenjin community was to lead the Kalenjin community in different ways. Maybe there is famine, they will ask the community to get ready because maybe next year or 2 years to come, there will be no rain, so keep your food. And also, when there were invaders who were about to invade the community, they will let them be ready because invaders will come and invade you. Or even when they are going to war, you can warn them don't go to war, or if you go to war, you will be killed or you will be successful, Your Honor.
Just so we understand clearly what you're saying, you say the functions of a Kalenjin community was to lead. Do you mean the functions of a Kalenjin king was to lead or community?
I meant the king, Your Honor.
So that's at line 9, page 94. Now, when Mr. William Ruto was pronounced king, what did that mean in terms of what was going to be, what were, in your understanding, what were his functions going to be?
Your Honor, according to me, I didn't understand anything, but I had some aldermen asking themselves if the kingship has returned again, and they were asking themselves if Honorable Ruto was among the Koitalel Somoy's family, Your Honor.
So if, and just to clarify for the transcript, if Honorable Ruto was among the Koitalel Samoy's family.
Among the Koitalel Somoy's family, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, you mentioned that Mr. Sang had spoken. Can you tell us a little what did he say?
Your Honor, it was after the meeting is when once Mr. Sang telling them right now the Kalenjins are not like before. Now we have our king and we have someone who has to direct us, and no one can speak on behalf of the community again. We are now live and no one can put us down again.
And can you tell us where this was said by Mr. Sang?
Say that Kas FM, Your Honor.
On what program?
At Lenemet program, Your Honor.
Say that this was after the meeting. Do you remember how much time after the meeting Mr. Sang would have said these things on Lenemet?
It was just maybe the next day. It started from the next day, Your Honor, after the meeting.
Now, when Mr. Sang was saying, now we have our king and we have someone who was to direct us, who was he referring to?
He was referring to Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'd like to show you some extracts of a video, and I'd like you to pay close attention, and afterwards I'll have some questions for you.
Before you do that, Counsel, are you going to explore the question?
To show you some extracts of a video, and I'd like you to pay close attention, and afterwards I'll have some questions for you.
What does that mean? And second, whether Mr. Ruto was from the Koitalel Samoy family. Intends to explore that area?
I can ask those questions, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Witness, just a couple couple of questions, if you will. You mentioned during your testimony that older men were talking and were questioning themselves as to whether the kingship had returned. Can you explain that a bit further for the court?
Your Honor, I can say that older men were against that function which took place at Eldoret Sports Club, because according to them, it was not anyone whom to be pronounced or given a kingship. There were culture which was followed, and they were saying that right, and they were asking themselves, they were asking if William Ruto was among the sons of, or the family of Koitalel Somoe, because the only person who could have been crowned to be a king of the Kalenjin community is someone, if kingship was back, because if kingship was back, it was back to the same people, the Koitalel Somoe's family, Your Honor.
And to your knowledge, does Mr. William Ruto come from that lineage of that family, of Koitalel Samoe family?
No, Your Honor.
Now, to your knowledge, Mr. Witness, your understanding is, has there been any other king prior to Mr. William Ruto pronounced as king in 2007, as you mentioned? Has there been any other king prior to him mentioned in the Kalenjin community?
No, Your Honor. As I said before, the kingship of the Kalenjin community ended with Mr.
William Ruto pronounced as king in 2007, as you mentioned. Has there been any other king prior to him mentioned in the Kalenjin community? Would have happened when he would have been king of the Kalenjin community?
Your Honor, according to history, it was during the colonial rule, and he was killed, Your Honor. I don't remember the year, Your Honor.
Clarification, Mr. Witness. Now, you said that, I'm just going to go back, you say that Mr. William Ruto was pronounced spokesperson. Recall any other spokesman any other spokesman of the Kalenjin community prior to Mr. William Ruto?
No, Your Honor. Even in Eldoret, William Ruto has never, or any other politician has never ever been pronounced the spokesman, Your Honor.
Just give us more details on the person of the Kalenjin community.
Your Honor, only what I had is to speak on behalf of the community, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I'd now like to proceed to show you, Mr. Witness, some extracts of a video, and I'd ask you to please look at them carefully, and because I'll be asking you some questions. Okay, so we're just going to start, Mr. Witness. We'll show you an extract, and I'll be asking you questions afterwards. Just for... It's okay. Just for the court record, this is Ken OTP 00330102 that will be showing showing the entirety of the video. It's about an hour and 40 some odd minutes. We'll be showing just certain extracts. Now there's a transcript and a translation which come with this video, and they're in the bundle that was given to the. Those are tabs 20 and tab 21. Tab 20 is the transcript, and tab 21 is the translation. What I will be doing is showing extracts to the witness, asking him certain questions, and when it regards speeches or things that are said and translated, I will ask the witness to look at the extract, to listen to what is being said. It's going to be only of short duration, to read the translation, and what I'll do is I'll give the witness a paper copy of it, see if it corresponds to what he's heard, and then I'll ask him specific questions in regard to those specific extracts. The same model, the same way we worked with other witnesses when showing a video. I just solicit the help of the court officer so I can give a paper copy of the transcript and the translation to the witness. So for the record, the transcript, which is (1200). Now, Mr. Witness, you don't need to look at those for the moment. I'll instruct you on when you need to look. For the moment, I just ask you to look at the video. Now I've stopped at the timestamp 0043 seconds. Mr. Witness, do you see the image before you on the screen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell us who appears in that image?
Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor. Thank
you. We'll just continue playing the video for the moment.
Can we start now? I think we...
I've stopped it at timestamp 48. Mr. Witness, do you recognize any of the two individuals that are on the screen right now?
I know one of them, but I don't recall his name, Your Honor.
And can you tell us which one of these two individuals do you recognize, but you don't remember the name?
On my left hand, Your Honor.
Can you describe to us how he's dressed?
The one with on my right hand, the one with a coat, Your Honor.
Okay, so for the moment you can't remember his name. If you do remember his name further on, please indicate it to us and we'll come back to it. I'll continue playing the video for you.
The one with on my right hand, the one with a coat, Your Honor.
Okay, so for the moment you can't remember his name. If you Now I've stopped the video at timestamp 0057. Recognize anybody on the screen at this point?
Your Honor, I would like to say is Musa Sirma, Your Honor. And the one appearing now is...
Now the first one is the one with the jacket. You said his name is Musa Sirma. Can you please spell that for us?
U-S-A. Sirma is S-R-M-A.
Now, Mr. Witness, the gentleman with the white cap on, can you tell us who that is?
Franklin Pett, Your Honor.
The first is on the transcript, Franklin, and Bet is B-E-T-T. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell us who Mr. Franklin Bett is?
He is a famous politician, a famous Kalenjin South Rift.
And at the time when this video was taken, do you remember what constituency or what region he was representing, Mr. Franklin Bett?
He was coming from Kericho district.
Is this a person of Kalenjin ethnicity?
Yes, Your Honor, he is a former MP.
Now, at 102, line 2, he was coming from Kericho district, K-E-R-I-C-H-O. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll now continue playing the video for you.
Can we go into private session for just one quick second?
Ah, no,
I've stopped the video at timestamp 6 minutes and 1. Mr. Witness, can you tell us if you recognize the background circulating in the video?
Understand your question, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, can you tell us by looking at the video at this point in time what road it's driving by or where the car is?
It is along Eldoret Kapsabet Road.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. We'll just continue showing you different extracts. Now, Mr. Witness, can you tell us by looking at the screen right now, the image that, the shot that you're seeing, where that part of the video is taken?
It's the roundabout from the High Court to Kapsabet roundabout on the way to Kapsabet Road. From the Eldoret High Court to the roundabout going to Kapsabet at a place known as Sosiani.
Sosiani. Just to be clear on that matter, is that in Eldoret town?
It's in Eldoret town, Your Honor.
Thank you for that, Mr. Witness. The video has been stopped at timestamp 15:15. Mr. Witness, can you tell us what is depicted in the scene, the shot that you have before you on the screen?
Eldoret Sports Club, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I'm going to play for you a specific extract to listen to what is being said, and afterwards I'm going to direct you to the documents, one of the documents which is a translation, and I want you to read that and tell me if it corresponds to what is being said. So I'd like you to just pay close attention, and if you need to listen to it once again, we can do that.
Onge muraj kikela chito kenyisiek chekikoam alen kot komakiyakte kini kikonget komakiyakte ko kikibirchi kuchama nebo KANU makikibirchi en 202 maunoton ni kongoi
Now, Mr. Witness, you see an image of a person before you on the screen. Can you tell us, can you identify that person for us? Can you please spell that? I understood that the full name, the first name is Lena. What is the second name?
V is C-H-E-P-I. Then Kilimo is K-I-L-I-M-O.
Did you say Kilimo, K-I-L-I-M-O?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so just a correction to line 25.
L-I-M-O.
Time, what Mrs. Lena Chebli Kilmo's function was?
Be for Marakwet, Your Honor.
Can you tell us of what ethnicity she is?
A Kalenjin, Your Honor.
And just for line 6, she was an MP for Marakwet, M-A-R-A-K-W-E-T, for the record. Now, Mr. Witness, listen to an extract. I want you to listen and listen. And after that, I'm going to have you read a part of one of the documents there, and I'll ask you to see if the translation corresponds to what was said. If you need to hear it once again, just tell me. So we'll play it right now.
Arab Ruto. Kongay boisiek chekabwa amu kokochi ngulek cheongen kole ngokakobwa ngulek komakoi kewekta koba kutit. Abwati rani kole kitinye kamangunet biikab Kalenjin amu kakero kirkit nemi biutab tuga. Kenyisiek chekikakosirto kikisome kirkit nebo chi akole sikoiye tuga lakini rani kitinye nenyo.
Did you have a chance to listen, to pay close attention, or do you want to listen to it one more time?
I listened to it, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, before you, you have two documents, and one of them is a document, and the number on the bottom is 0085-1200. Do you see that document?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like you to take that to page 1213. The page is always at the bottom.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like you to take that to page 1213. The page is always at the bottom. Mr. Witness, I'd like you to read from lines.
Suggest something before the witness is taken to that. Your Honor, of course, I'm not precisely clear yet what I'm seeking to do. Suggest is the proper way of doing it, or the better way of doing it, is the witness can be asked questions about whatever has been said. After that, after his own interpretation has been given to the court, of course there's no problem with him being shown the English, but that means proceeding. Your Honor, it's always good to get things from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So, Your Honor, that's a suggestion in any event.
Your Honor, if I'm not
we're not sure that that's what the prosecution wants to do. So what do you want to do?
Your Honor, what I'm doing is merely following what we did for a prior witness where defense counsel actually suggested, it wasn't Mr. Khan at the time, but I think it was Mr. Hooper who suggested that we read out, or actually we play a portion of the video, the extract, to the witness, make him listen to it, afterwards let him look at the translation, see if it corresponds, and if there are any differences, for him to point them out. And if not, well, the matter lays there, because if not, I fear that I'll not have the time to complete this exercise.
Your Honor, I'm content with that. I withdraw the suggestion, and I'm grateful to my friend.
Indeed, I thought that's what the prosecutor was trying to do. So let's do that.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'd like you to look at page 1213. And you'll see that on the left-hand side there are numbers, line numbers. I'd like you to read from line 3888 to line 403. I want you to read that to yourself and tell me if it corresponds or not to what you've just listened to in the extract. You'll see that on the left-hand side there are numbers, line numbers. I'd like you to read from line 3888. Just 1213 is the page, court officer.
Does he know, does he have the page he's supposed to be comparing to? Because 1213 is English version, isn't it?
That's it. The only procedure, the only exercise is for the witness. He's listened to it already in its original language, and it's to determine whether the translation that he has before him is exact, which is the same procedure we've followed in the past. Now, Mr. Witness, I see you've left the document. Did you have a chance to read line 388 to 403?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Can you tell us if what you read, the translation, corresponds to what you heard in the video extract?
It is the same, Your Honor.
Now, just for the record, the extract that was shown to the witness is from timestamp 2322 to 24. The translation that was shown to the witness is at document 00851200. Now, just for the record, the extract that was shown to the witness is from timestamp 2322 3. And the transcription that matches for that is 0690127, page 014-386 to 399. Just in case any matter arises afterwards and there's cross-examination, defense counsel can refer to those references. Now, Mr. Witness.
The last reference you mentioned was to the Kalenjin.
Yes.
But the witness has not checked that. Has he?
He has not checked it. The exercise that we did last time was a little bit, actually we just translation. If there were any issues, then we'd go to the transcript and we see exactly where there might have been a mistake or a problem.
I understand what you're saying, but I just wanted to note for the record, just for future purposes, so that there is no misunderstanding that the witness had looked at the Kalenjin transcript.
I can state that for the record.
Yes.
The sole reason for why I'm mentioning the equivalence in the original transcript is for ease of reference afterwards if we want to cross-examine or come back on it.
Understood.
Now, Mr. Witness, I just want to ask you some questions on what was said by Lena Chibli. It is stated in the translation that she said, the elders have come to endorse a child they had blessed in Ravine. Can you explain to us what that refers to, or what, if you can, what Ms. Lena was referring to by saying that?
He was referring to Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
And the reference to Ravine, can you explain that to us, if you can?
He was saying that the journey of endorsing Honorable William Ruto was placed as from Ravine, Your Honor. Eldama Ravine.
Just for the record, can you explain that to us, if you can?
He was saying that the journey of endorsing Honorable William Ruto was placed
correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, can you explain to the court what had happened in El Dam Ravine?
I'm not aware, Your Honor.
Now, when Ms. Lena speaks about Arab, who is she speaking about?
He was speaking about Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
Now, in the next line, you see that Ms. Lena says that they are proud to see a bull in the compound. Can you explain to us why she used this? What does that mean?
Your Honor, he was speaking in parables. He was not speaking directly, Your Honor.
Who was Ms. Lena referring to when she's speaking about a bull or the bull?
He was referring to Honorable William Ruto, Your Honor.
And you say she was speaking in parable. Can you explain to us the significance of that, a bull in the compound?
He was referring that someone ate cows but ate no bull. So he was referring the Kalenjin community that they had no king, but right now they have got a king.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I'd like to show you now another extract, and I'd like to go
Your
through...
Honor, before we move on, perhaps it's good now. The spelling, the witness, of course, can answer, but for the transcript and accuracy, the place, I'm told, is Eldama Ravine, E-L-D-A-M-A, and then next word, W-O-W-I-N-E.
R-A-V-I-N-E.
R-A-V-I-N-E, Ravine. Eldama Ravine. That can be checked with the witness.
Mr. Witness, just so we're clear on the spelling, is it Eldama with E-L-D-A-M-A or Eldam with E-L-D-A-M-E? Which one of the two is it?
E-L-D-M-A-M-A.
I'm grateful.
That can be checked with the witness.
Mr. Witness, just so we're clear on the spelling, is it Eldama with E-L-D-A-M-A or I read here in the translation that Ms. Lena says, may our belts protect you when you go to war, let you win. Can you explain to that? Can you explain to us what was your understanding of that?
Your Honor, in the culture of Kalenjin community, to war, women can put on their belts. And I didn't know which war Ms. Lena Chebi Kilimo was meaning that time, Your Honor.
Thank you for those clarifications, Mr. Witness. I'd like to just show you another extract, and we'll go through the same exercise, if you will. Now, for the record, the time...
Wamesikia? Basi fuateni na Ruto hiyo hiyo na sisi pia tutapa nyuma yake. Asanteni sana. Hivyo kama Ruto akipata promotion na mimi nasongea hiyo kiti yake.
Now, Mr. Witness, can you tell us who appears there on the image before on your screen? Do you recognize that person?
I recognize him. He's an MP from Masai Land, but I don't remember his name, Your Honor.
So it's MP from Masai Land. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you spell it for us, please?
M-A-M-A-S-A-I.
And do you remember what ethnicity this person was?
He is a Masai, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'm going to play for you, and just for the record, an extract, and it's going to be timestamped 3324 to 3426. And I'd like you to, once again, pay close attention to what's being stated, and afterwards I'll have some questions for you. Now, Mr. Witness, I'm going to play for you, and just for the record, an extract, and it's going to be timestamped 3324 to
tumekuja hapa tuko wengi, lakini nitawachia mzee Ndimama atasema wale ambao wametuandamana nao. Tuko na maneno mawili. Jambo la kwanza, tuwezesha tufika hapa kuja kupongeza nyinyi wa Kalenjin kwa kuchagua kufanya Ruto kuwa mzee. La pili, tumekuja kupongeza Ruto kwa kuwa kijana mtupavu na sasa amepata promotion, sasa ni mzee. Wale wazee ambao wamepiga kuanzia leo, yuko wazee wengine wanapata graduation, wamekuja juu kidogo, so waende wapumzike. Jambo la ingine la masaa, itasimama imara, lakini wodi yetu itasimama imara kama LDP.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'd like for you one more time to look at the document, the same document that you were looking at before with the translation. Direct your attention to page 1218 at the bottom. Now, I'd like you to read lines 565 to 578, the left hand. Do you see those lines?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you just, I'd ask you to just please read those to yourself, and when you're finished, I'll ask you one question. Now, Mr. Witness, I see that you've finished reading the lines that I've asked you to. Can you tell us whether the translation that you've read in the video?
Yeah, the same, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now I'd like to go on to another extract, and we'll be repeating the same exercise. The extract is time-stamped 3523 to 3719.
Ani sasa leo ni leo, sio? Lazima niingie kwa Kiswahili kidogo. Sasa tuna furaha kubwa kabisa katika dunia yetu ya LDP na KANU katika kuchagua Bwana Ruto. Leo atatawazwa kabisa, yeye ndio lazima. Sina hiyo? Si yenye chemele? Basi tutampa mursik, atakula mursik na sisi tunataka kuwa pamoja, tuokoe Kenya kutoka kwa mkono wa hawa ambao hawajali mambo ya wananchi. Lazima tuokoe Kenya. Na ninyi hapa Rift Valley, si mnajua damu ilitoka mbali zaidi? Si namna hiyo au namna gani? Lazima tushikane pamoja, maana kutoka tumeona mwaka jana na mwaka hii na mwaka ile ingine, hakuna mtu atatawala Kenya ila tu anakuwa na wengine, sio? Ndio sasa mimi nafurahishwa kabisa na umati mkubwa namna hii ambaye sasa mmekuja kuweka mkono yenu ile ya mursiki, ile mkono zaidi ya mahindi, mkono ya ngano, mkono ya maziwa, mkono ya raha tele, mkono ya upendo namna hii. ambaye sasa mmekuja kuweka mkono yenu ile ya mursik, ile mkono zaidi ya mahindi ya saisere kwa mbisi na hiyo namna hiyo.
Now, Mr. Witness, do you recognize the person who was speaking in that extract? Now, I'd like you to read, I'd like you to go to page 1219, 1219, and read lines lines 590 to 620 very carefully and see if they correspond with what you've just heard in the video. Now, Mr. Witness, you've had a chance to read the translation. Can you tell us whether the person says that Mr. Ruto has been chosen and will because it is very important. Can you explain to us what he meant by that?
Your Honor, even I heard him talking some other things which I didn't understand. By him saying Mursik, by him saying enthroned, I didn't understand him at all, Your Honor. I'm saying that, Your Honor, because the Kalenjins believe that they are the only ones who are making good Mursik, not any other tribe, Your Honor.
Can you please spell out that word? You've said it twice, and I've not understood it. Is it a Kalenjin word?
Mursik is a Kalenjin word.
You spell it.
M-U-R-S-I-K, Your Honor.
And what does it mean?
It means soy milk, Your Honor.
Sour milk, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And just so I understand, you're not able to tell us why he was referring to the sour milk?
Sorry, this sour milk or soy milk?
Soy milk, Your Honor. Soy milk.
Is it S-O-Y, soy milk, or sour?
S-O-U. Soy milk. S-O-U-R.
Thank you for that, Mr. Witness. Would you be able to explain to us why he was using this reference to sour milk?
I didn't get his point because he could have even said that Ruto will give us soy milk so that we can drink together. But he was saying that we will give Honorable William Ruto soy milk. But I didn't understand him at all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. So just for the record, it's just one last question now. What language was he speaking in exactly, this person?
He was speaking in Kiswahili language, Your Honor.
Now, I just want to come back on the other people that you've heard. Mrs. Lena, do you remember what language she was speaking in?
She was speaking in Kalenjin language, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Kiswahili language, Your Honor.
Now, I just want to come back on the other people that you've heard. Mrs. Lena, do you remember what language she was?
Vyama vingine vyote, wakaaji, wazee wa bonde la Ufa, kina mama na vijana wenzangu, nachukua nafasi hii kusema chamge, chamge gogeny, chamge gogeny. Amwoe ngalek chengering. Amacha mwanatai kongoi eng biikab kutitab Kalenjin eng Koleboch amu kondit nikakono ko ki kandoikab biikab kotab Kalenjin. Amache amwa kongoi eng kokwek tugul ak amache amwoiwo kolecho makibistoe yemi imandab biikab kutitab Kalenjin. Amache amwoiwo biikab kutitab Kalenjin alecho okaskei amu kit nekoyai rani kokaokon kibore nemoti ko biikab kutitab Kalenjin ko chamaitab biikab kutitab Kalenjin noton nekemi korok asikebendi chamait age. Kaikoshin anan makoshin? Ameche amwoiwo kolecho uye koratet ra eng yu keratase ibu nitok awendi kotkebaru emet niseme hivi ya kwamba nawashukuru wenzangu waliokuja hapa wa kutoka bonde la Ufa na wasio wa bonde la Ufa wa kutoka taifa la Kenya. Nawashukuru kwa sababu mmekuja kwa kauli moja kuniunga mkono watu wa bonde la Ufa wakisema ya kwamba mimi niwanie kiti ya urais na wasio wa bonde la Ufa wa kutoka taifa la Kenya. Nawashukuru kwa sababu mmekuja kwamba kwa sababu ya kauli ya watu wa bonde la Ufa na kwa sababu ya wengi, mimi najitoa kuwania kiti ya urais wa taifa la Kenya kwa wale wengine watakao kuwa competition hiyo, na mimi nataka niko tayari na nitawania kiti hicho. Nawashukuru na nataka kusema hivi. Nasema maneno mawili. Jambo la kwanza, taifa letu la Kenya kuna umaskini. Na wale walio matajiri na wale walio maskini kuna tofauti kubwa. Lazima tuanze kufikiria kama viongozi wa taifa letu tutaondoa tofauti kati ya watu maskini na watu tajiri kwa njia gani? Lazima tuanze kufikiria na kutafuta mbinu ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba kama tunasema unakuwa kwa 5%, isiwe inakuwa kwa 5% kwa wengine na kwa wengine unakuwa kwa kiasi gani. Tukisema ya kwamba uchumi wa taifa tunataka tugawe uchumi.
I have stopped the video at timestamp 1:33.6 seconds. Now, Mr. Witness, I'd like for you, first of all, if you can describe exactly what Mr. William Ruto is wearing while he's speaking, starting with what he has what he's wearing on his head. Mr. Witness, I'd like for you, first of all, if you can describe exactly what Mr. Can you please spell it for us?
K-U-T-W-E-T.
Now, is there any significance to wearing a kutwet?
The kutwet, or the other dress, Your Honor, which is also means that he had been entrusted to lead or to be a king, Your Honor.
A king of whom or what?
I'm speaking of the Kalenjin community and the Kalenjin culture, Your Honor.
Now, you've referred to it as well. What is he wearing on him, on his person, on his body?
Known as Sambut, Your Honor.
My colleague has just stopped the video at 1:29:15. Now, Mr. Witness, you've said it was Sambut. Is this Kalenjin as well, the name?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you please spell it for us?
S-A-M-P-U-T, Your Honor.
Now, can you tell us what, if any, is the significance of wearing a samput in the Kalenjin culture community?
It means the kingship is in your hands, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I see the time. I haven't had the opportunity, and this was the last extract I wanted to show the witness, to just verify whether the translation was correct. And I just had a couple of extra questions on things that the witness has stated. I would need at a maximum 15 minutes of additional time tomorrow morning to cover these points, with the court's leave, obviously. I said 3 days. I know that decision and debating this morning on one, I would need at a maximum 15 minutes of additional time tomorrow morning to cover these points.
Attribute that to anything else. Witness, the question is from Kitwet and Samput. In the video where you have the gentleman whom you said was MP from Maasai Land, in the transcript, he spoke about, as we see it on the transcript, about Mr. Ruto having now become an elder, or that they in the Maasai land came in great numbers to witness the event of him becoming an elder, Mr. Ruto becoming an elder. My point there is on the notion of that gentleman speaking about becoming an elder. Now, returning to what we saw in the video, do people who become elders dress like that? Are they dressed in Kitwet and Samput?
No, Your Honor. I beg to explain that, Your Honor. In Kalenjin culture, Your Honor, there is no time that you are crowned as an elder. In Kalenjin culture, there is time where you are born, and when you grow from childhood to manhood is when you undergo circumcision. And when you grow from manhood to elderlyhood is when you marry. And you will only be recognized as an elder when you are over 60 years. They can say, Mze Rakui, that is an elder, Your Honor. Grow from manhood to elderlyhood is when you marry. And you will only be recognized as an elder.
We will bring down the blinds and escort the witness from the court.